They are blessed with so many numerous foods, but the most nourishing is the ekpang.
Among the masquerades are those that are a reserve of a particular family. This masquerade, for instance, has an imposing mask of heavy wood. What is the secret behind the agility of the masquerader, not hindered by such weight?
There are different types of training for those who wear different masquerades. There are also different types of food which they must eat before entering those masquerades. The reason is sometimes when you are very heavy, you need to be light. So those who carry those masquerades, they do certain forms of training, they develop themselves, they prepare themselves for it. So that thing which is very heavy for you is very light for them. Also, in the olden days, there are certain herbs which we were taken for power. Our people were noted for valor, told you that, and power. And because most of us are fishermen, and we cruise a lot at sea and even in the ocean, the big canoes which we use, those days we paddle by hand. And so they needed power. And some of this power, they used to get it through the herbs. They combine it and drink it.
We are the one who fight for freedom. We are the masses, the young males in the community, which we form this organization to bring peace. We are the mass in the community and we are the young men. This is our tradition. So they call it an answer. There's the spirit behind the mass. Before you carry the mass, you are already being confirmed as a tradition boy. You will be able to carry it. It's not everybody that carry it. You train for about 6 months. They practice you, they will teach you how to move with the mass. These are generation things, our forefather things that we're born to see. And it's our tradition that we can never leave.
The Oron people, who are believed to have migrated from Egypt centuries ago, surely have an interesting culture. Oye Bari Oron, Owa.
Wow, our culture, our identity, and certainly our pride. Thank you for being with us. If we made your day, let's do the same time next week. I am Serafina Okon. Bye-bye.
Our programs are getting better and fresher. And it's because we are thinking about you. NTA. It's all about you.
Everyone likes a good meal, especially if it is prepared with fresh fish, such as those from the fresh waters of Ekpe. This is Ekpe, a town located on longitude 4 east and latitude 6.31 north, and approximately about 89 kilometers from Lagos. Ekpe presents a picturesque setting with its location on a slightly elevated land ranging between 30 to 60 meters above sea level. Ekpe is a riverine town with its waters bounded by thick mangrove swamp. Therefore, the occupations of the people traditionally include fishing, farming, carving, weaving, canoe building, fishnet, and fish trap making. However, like any other riverine community in Nigeria, fishing and fishing activities remain at top of the pack. It has assumed a prime importance and an industry that has become a symbol of civic pride to the people of Ekpe. It is therefore no exaggeration to assert that Ekpe remains the fish empire of Lagos State. The uniqueness of the people to perpetuate their traditional way of life is reflected through their organized approach in matters of fishing. Most times, it is family business, integrating entire members. Irrespective of scale, whether from a traditional subsistent level using paddled canoes to bigger boats using outboard engines or to a large-scale dragnet system, the fishers are now at the mercy of the fishermen. Through cooperatives and other organized associations, many fishermen have been able to weather the storm. There is a customary practice by which middlemen are engaged to meet the fishermen on high seas and buy off their catch. They then resell to other big-time buyers at the beachfronts, who in turn sell to the market women. Like in gold, to dig for a good catch of fish depends on how far you can dig. Big fishes do not stay in shallow waters, and the type of fish also depends on the nature of the water.
Fish stay according to the size and the water. A small fish will never come to a shallow area, whereby if you want a big fish, you will go deep. You will go far to the shore.
Using different materials, patterns and methods, various types of fish are caught in Ekpe waters for your delight. From the traditional net throwing system to the bamboo pipe tubes or the multi-hook system, the people's creative ingenuity cannot be underestimated. How impressive that a vegetation such as this is actually a ruse for fish to house themselves. And no sooner would they be hauled into raffia-made fish traps planted strategically round the mound. At a point, however, the seeming good fortune of fishermen have to come to an end. This is the off-season, when there are less fishes in the river. In some parts of the world, when the off-season comes, most fishermen remain idle and have to wait until
country. Take a trip through one of the most beautiful places on earth. A journey of discovery. A unique opportunity to get in touch with unspoiled nature. Enjoy your time in a place that offers something for everyone. A land of beautiful contrasts. An experience you won't forget.
national need.
Federal Executive Council clears the air on judges' arrest, says the nation's judiciary is not under attack, but corruption as one of the fundamental problems of the country. President Muhammadu Buhari set for talks with German Chancellor Angela Merkel on security and humanitarian issues as he embarks on official visit to Germany. Good to have you join us this hour on NTA International News coming to you live from Abuja, Nigeria. I am Phoebe Kabruk. The federal government has appealed to Nigerians to take the path of honor by not allowing their emotions and sentiments be cloud their sense of patriotism in respect of the recent surgical operations aimed at ridding the judiciary of corruption. The Minister of Information and Culture, Lai Mohammed, made the appeal while briefing newsmen after the Federal Executive Council meeting presided over by President Muhammadu Buhari. He said there is no intention whatsoever by the government to intimidate either judges or judiciary, but sanitize the system of corruption. And in the process, it is not unusual to step on sensitive toes.
Please do not confuse the fight against corruption as a fight against judiciary. No, absolutely not. Do judges have immunity? The answer is no. Can judges be arrested? The answer is yes. Have judges and serving judges been arrested in Nigeria? The answer is yes. Justice Ikomi was arrested and tried. Magistrate Rauf Gaji was arrested, tried, and convicted. Now, the next question to ask is that what is the proper procedure for arresting anybody or especially judges? There must be properly executed search warrant. Was such presented? The answer again is yes. People have tried to model the fact about when do you search a person's house. The truth of the matter is that under the new criminal justice the criminal justice law, you can search anybody, anywhere, anytime.
Pundit Adamu Sambo reports that the council has approved the completion of 10 megawatts wind farm project in Katsina State, as well as ongoing federal secretariat projects in 6 states of the federation.
In fulfillment first of our renewable energy, also of our roadmap for incremental power, and Council has graciously granted approval for that project.
The judiciary is seen as the last hope of the common man, an institution that should ensure justice in the society and maintain law and order. However, where the officers of this temple of justice are corrupt, the hope of the common man is on the precipice. Against the recent arrest of certain judges and justices, Dele Atumbi takes us on a perspective drive.
Nigeria operates a presidential system of government with 3 arms, where the executive implements the law, the legislature makes the law, and the judiciary interprets it. The interpretation of the law is key to the maintenance of law and order in the society. Taking a look at the law as it is, are judicial officers immune from being arrested and prosecuted?
Well, as far as I'm concerned, there's nothing unusual in arresting judges.
Judges can be arrested. That's why you see the case of Ikomi. There is one Bende State High Court that was alleged to have killed his oddly then. He was arrested.
Another issue that must be cleared is, does the Department of State Services have the power to effect arrest of alleged corrupt judicial officers as it was done in other jurisdictions?
The State Security Service was established. 3 years core mandates. And lastly, any other assignment given by the President or the National Assembly.
Investigation reveals that the arrest of judicial officers have been carried out even in advanced democracies like the United States of America. In Africa, corrupt judicial officers were arrested in Ghana in order to reform the judiciary. As a way of making the judiciary to live above board, some legal practitioners advocated reform of the National Judicial Council to be able to take up criminal charges preferred against judges.
Need to have incorruptible judge that are upright, in and out, to survey the country.
Opinions may be divided on the issue of arrests of judges and justices which had happened in other jurisdictions and climes. However, opinions are same on the fact that a corrupt judiciary will lead to travesty of justice in the Alo Temple of Justice. In Abuja, Dele Atumbi, NTA News.
And in the meantime, guests on NTA's Current Affairs program, Good Morning Nigeria, have suggested the need for reforms and holistic approach for an independent and corrupt-free judiciary in Nigeria. Salihu Abdullahi has the report.
The arrest of some judges and justices by the DSS over alleged corrupt allegations continue to dominate discourse on the public domain, while different groups and individuals have expressed their positions on the development. Discussants on NTA's Good Morning Nigeria describe it as unfortunate, as it does not only affect the personality of those who are involved, but the entire judiciary.
That in the light of this desecration of the Temple of Justice, that the Constitution should be amended to allow judges to be able to return to practice.
Because whatever I do to a judge now will affect the sanctity of the judicial system. Even the sitting judges, it will affect their confidence and make them wary of living up to their offices.
In the quest for sanity and corrupt-free society, the guests say the Nigerian Constitution needs to be amended to check undue interference of politicians into the judicial process, adding that the judiciary should also make efforts to check corruption within the system.
It's good that the NJC is strengthened, there's reform, but they don't also have investigative powers, except they have to draft in detectives from the police and SS.
The guests say supremacy of the judiciary as the third arm of the government needs to be entrenched to uphold internal mechanism as viable option to providing holistic approach in all matters. In Abuja, Salihu Abdullahi, NTA News.
President Muhammadu Buhari will this Thursday embark on an official visit to the Federal Republic of Germany. The visit will last till Saturday, 15 October 2016. While in Berlin, President Buhari will confer with Chancellor Angela Merkel on issues of shared interest between Nigeria and Germany, including further cooperation on security, the humanitarian situation of internally displaced persons, and rehabilitation of the Northeast, as well as trade and economic relations between both countries. Thereafter, the President, who will be accompanied by Governors Kashim Shettima of Borno State and Rochas Okorocha of Imo, respectively, and representatives of the National Assembly, will meet with President Joachim Gauck. And in furtherance of the administration's objective to attract more foreign investment and create economic opportunities in the country, President Buhari will participate in a business forum in Berlin with leading German companies already active in Nigeria and other prospective investors. Before returning to Abuja, the President is expected to meet with representatives of the Nigerian community in Germany. Special Advisor to the President on Media and Publicity, Femi Adesina, says President Buhari is committed to deepening relations with Germany and building on the very cordial relations both countries enjoy in several areas of bilateral cooperation. These include the fight against terrorism, economic relations, rebuilding of the Northeast, support for IDPs, vocational training, energy partnership, and cultural relations. Minister of Environment Amina Mohammed says action-oriented efforts by relevant authorities will manage the nation's marine and coastal ecosystem in a sustainable manner towards reducing poverty, enhance food security, and the overall socio-economic growth of the coastal communities. She said this at the opening ceremony of National Consultative Meeting on Draft Additional Protocols to the Abuja Convention in Abuja. Joseph Johnson reports.
The state of the environment is often a mirror of activities carried out on land. and such activities ranging from industrial and agricultural production to daily domestic routines affect the health of the ecosystem and the people that depend on it. Regardless of the fact that the Nigerian coastal and marine environment account for over 50% of Nigeria's economy, the ecosystem is plagued with problems such as pollution, global climate change, and others. Towards ameliorating these problems, environmental experts here are fine-tuning the draft protocols which will enable national action plans to be developed and implemented at the country level.
So please, experts, if we really mean what we say, the protocols that we produce allow us to take the actions we need to destroy the ivory to send a signal, to ban the export and logging of wood when it is detrimental to my country and my people.
Each country can own those protocols and domesticate them, implement them, then there will be a contribution to save those assets and to adapt to climate change.
Regional and international partners will be expected to present key recommendations at the end of the two-day program. Joseph Johnson, NTA News.
The need to fully utilize the about 260 dams in the country for aquaculture, farming and livestock for food sufficiency was part of the resolutions reached at the two-day workshop organized by the Nigerian Society of Engineers in Abuja. Adebola Brooksland Sunday reports.
It is on record that about 70% of the Earth's surface is covered with water, and Nigeria's about 924 square kilometers land area is made up of about 13,000 square kilometers of water. Over the years, Nigeria has had its own fair share of flood, one of the problems associated with water, and following some pockets and projection of flooding in Nigeria this year, these experts gathered to examine the challenges and opportunities in dams and to proffer solution to flooding in the country.
The increase in Nigerian population and socio-economic needs will continuously raise the requirement for water, food, and energy consumption. This is the time to use engineering to drive the change agenda of this administration.
Minister of Environment and that of Water Resources speak on government's efforts to mitigate the challenges.
Certainly, the Ministry of Environment has a number of programs. One of them, the New Map program with the World Bank. The real response is right at the very beginning to prevent it by better land use and watershed management.
Let me also inform you that the Federal Executive Council last month approved the National Water Bill, National Water Policy, and National Irrigation and Drainage Policy. And when that bill is passed into law, it will help solve many of the problems slowing advancement in the water sector.
The conference also dwelled on the effective utilization of reservoir infrastructure. In Abuja, Adebola Brooksland Sunday, NTA News.
8 persons were confirmed dead while 15 others were injured in the explosion that occurred early hours of Wednesday in Muna, Maiduguri, northeast Nigeria. The National Emergency Management Agency in a statement said the explosion occurred outside the park located in the outskirts of the town. The injured persons taken to the hospitals are being attended to at the University of Maiduguri Teaching Hospital and Borno State Specialist Hospital, where security has been beefed up at the scene of the explosion. Meanwhile, President Muhammadu Buhari has condemned the attack, describing it as cowardly move on the soft target by the Boko Haram terrorists. The president, who condoles with the families of the victims and the Borno State government, however, commended the military for their untiring efforts, stating that the soft target attack has further strengthened government in their efforts to completely neutralize Boko Haram. The federal government has released another batch of food items to support IDPs in Yobe State as more of them return to their communities. The Minister of State Foreign Affairs, Hadiza Bukar Ibrahim, who led the federal government's delegation, assured the internally displaced persons of government regular release of items pending their final settlement. Correspondent Shegun Lawole, just back from Damaturu, reports.
Food remains the most sourced While IDPs return to their original homes, this is why the federal government is presenting another batch of 5,130 bags of rice to IDPs right in their communities. Gujibu Town played host to the flag-off of the second phase of the federal government intervention from customs warehouses.
So it's a very, very good gesture, which is a welcome development. As you can see, there are plenty of IDPs around who are in dire need of these things, and instead of leaving them in the warehouses to waste, I think it's a good idea to bring them here to distribute to the IDPs.
We are in Gujiba today. This is an area that the last time we came there was nobody. Today they are back here. So they are going to have the lion's share of the 5,000 bags that we have, something like 3,000.
Yobe State Governor was represented by the deputy.
Also need assistance to squarely face the challenges of rehabilitation, reconstruction, reintegration, and peace building to further bring succor to the affected victims of insurgency in the state and restoration of socio-economic activities.
Damaturu and environs, including over 20 communities in Gutiba, will benefit from the food supply. Shegun Lawole, NTA News.
You're still watching the news on NTA International. We're reaching you from Abuja, Nigeria's capital city. More news after the break.
Call of change, stand up, Nigeria. Change is here and it's going to stay. Change begins with you. Oh yeah, make we go. So let the change begin from within. Look at you, Ogerula. Change begins with you and me. Change begins with me.
This message is brought to you by the Federal Ministry of Information and
International News. Africa as it is.
Welcome back. Report just coming in says President Muhammadu Buhari has approved the nomination of the Minister of Environment, Mrs. Amina Mohammed, to serve in the African Union Reform Steering Committee. The committee, headed by President Paul Kagame of Rwanda, is tasked with ongoing institutional reforms of the AU Commission and its organs. The committee, which comprises eminent persons from the continent, will work on part-time basis to produce a report for presentation to the 28th African Union Summit in January 2017. Senior Special Assistant to the President on Foreign Affairs and Diaspora, Abike Dabiri Erewa, has restated the federal government's commitment to the welfare and safety of its citizens studying abroad. She spoke when a delegation of the Nigeria-Turkish International Colleges Foundation visited her in Abuja.
SSA to the President, Abike Dabiri Erewa, condemned the sufferings being faced by Nigerian undergraduates in Turkey in the wake of the July coup, which she said have been a source of concern to the federal government. She pledged collaboration with the NTIC Foundation to fend for 25 Nigerian students in Turkey.
We will not compromise the welfare of our students. We will not compromise the dignity of Nigerians anywhere in the world. That is the policy of President Buhari, and that is the policy we are going to follow.
We thank you for this offer. We will coordinate this for you. The 25 students affected, this office with the Ministry of Education will coordinate and ensure that those students in Turkey do not suffer.
At the head of the delegation were the Vice Chancellor, Nile University Abuja, Professor Hussein Sert, and Director NTIC Foundation, Belul Fatil Basaram, an alumnus of Bayero University, Kano.
I'd like to say that the Nile University of Nigeria is ready to serve to this great country, Nigeria.
In Turkey, 29 of them has been back to Nigeria and get scholarship from the Nile University fully. And the one who is remaining in Turkey, which is 25 students also getting their scholarship from the NTIC Foundation. School fee also has been paid and scholarship has been continued till they finish the school.
A Nigerian parent of a final year student in Turkey, Dr. Yakub Al-Hassan, who was on the delegation, expressed faith and confidence in the foundation and lauded the federal government for its commitment to the citizenry. Ogechi Paul, NTA News.
Let's now join Chukwunoso Nwabueze on our business segment.
Hello and good to have you join us. Reactions have continued to trail the recent announcement by the Central Bank of Nigeria that the existence of many non-performing loans are threats to banks in the country.
I think the best option for the banks and even CBN is to repackage the loans so that individuals and even organizations that are owing will be able to pay. And they should also try as much as possible to reduce the interest rates.
And South African rand recorded a minimal gain against the dollar Wednesday after falling sharply overnight on the news of looming fraud charges against the country's finance minister, Pravin Gordhan. The currency was up by 0.63% to exchange at 14.2800 to a dollar as against 14.3700 it traded on Tuesday to record its biggest daily loss since June this year. Meanwhile, trading on the floor of the Nigerian Stock Exchange closed Wednesday on a negative note as the all-share index dropped by minus 0.03% in 3,277 deals, valued at more than 1 trillion naira. Let's now take a look at how the market fared. That's it on this segment. Please do stay tuned for the rest of the news. I am Chukwunoso Nwabueze.
And Nancy Godianinuhu has stories trending across the globe.
Burundi's parliament has voted overwhelmingly